email us, or connect with us on social media.
A province-wide stay-at-home order is currently in effect. Limit trips outside the home. Remain in your local community and work from home if you are able. Visit the province's website for more information.
Now you can enjoy the Amazon Prime Video app on Ignite TV. Just say Amazon Prime Video into your Ignite voice remote and watch Amazon originals like The Expanse.
They wanted a fight. We'll give them one.
The Wilds.
Are we in the actual Bermuda Triangle?
And The Boys.
That is amazing.
Prime members can stream Amazon originals, movies, TV shows, and more on Ignite TV today. Now you're in command.
Hello and welcome to the Rogers TV COVID-19 show. I'm Carol Merton, and before I welcome our guest to the program today, I'd like to just say a few words. In Grey Bruce, we are seeing increasing numbers of COVID-19 cases, and we are again in a province-wide lockdown and stay-at-home order as we move through the third wave of the pandemic. The vaccine rollout is underway and more people are receiving their vaccinations as supplies become available. This is a COVID-19 marathon race. With any race, the most physical and emotional demands occur as we see ahead of us, but still have not quite reached the finish line. With the increase in numbers, locally as well as provincially, we cannot afford to become complacent or take risks. We must double down on our efforts to ensure that the residents of Grey Bruce remain safe. Let us not provide this virus with any opportunities to spread, no matter how weary we are with the restrictions. The Grey Bruce Health Unit asks the public to continue to practice the 3 W's. Watch your distance, wear a mask, wash your hands, and stay at home unless the outing is absolutely essential. The sacrifices that we make each and every day will help to prevent the spread of COVID-19. All of us together can make a difference. We are saving lives. So thank you to the community for all that you are doing. And now on that note, I also want to say thank you and welcome to our guest today. Scott Greig is joining us. And Scott is the owner of Runner's Den here in Owen Sound, right, Scott?
Co-owner, yes.
And I believe you have another owner as well. Do you want to mention that person?
My wife Tracy is also a co-owner and not here in the store to join us today, so I'm flying solo.
You're flying solo. Well, we're glad to have you. It's been a while since we've chatted, and I know it was in the earlier days of COVID-19. Honestly, I did not expect that we'd be sitting here all these months later, still talking about COVID-19, but here we are. So, Scott, I'm wondering if you can give us an update on how things have changed for you over the months, and how you're coping now with this third wave and certainly the lockdown.
Well, I heard the second part of the question, but I might just have you repeat the first part. It just cut out on me a little bit there.
I'm wondering how things are going for you now.
Well, we're very blessed and fortunate that the service and product we offer is in high demand, not just locally or regionally, but across North America and throughout the planet. So we've been busy when the doors are open. We've been extraordinarily busy. And in times like these, we have excellent in-house resources that people can phone, people can email, and we can work back off of historical customer records and meet people's need.
Yeah.
Seeing a shoot outside the door reflective of what they've worn in the past.
Scott, I'm wondering for those who may not be familiar with Runner's Den, if you could just talk about the products that you're discussing. But you also offer a service, do you not, like for runners? And that, I'm wondering if you'd like to speak to that as well. So Scott, just obviously with the services that you provide, I'm wondering for those who aren't familiar with Runner's Den, what sorts of products do you sell?
Well, a large majority of our business is footwear, and we're a little more specialized in terms of walking and running footwear, outdoor footwear. We've added hiking boots in the last year, which were very popular last fall and through the winter. Is just is commensurate with the way things were and people wanting to be outside and a little bit more secure and comfortable in their walking and hiking needs, or snowshoeing. It was popular. It's been popular for years, but got to be more so this year. So really, we're renowned for the specialized fit and the knowledge that we bring forward for our customers, and meeting their expectations. And I guess their expectations are that we do meet a higher degree of service.
So you mentioned in our earlier programming that there were a few things you had to jumpstart, like a website in the very early COVID days, that you had been thinking about doing it. Tell us where you are with that now, and how has it impacted your business?
It's helpful. It provides a little bit more insight into your merchandise to the world. I mean, I've had a request from Tokyo to purchase a shoe because the lady came off foot surgery, and her history was with her recent shoe from Asics was that it was the only thing that provided relief and satisfaction underneath the set bones, I guess, in her feet resulting from the surgery. So she tracked us down as to being a location, I guess one of few that perhaps still had that model in stock. And then I guess if you're shipping it to Tokyo, shipping is a whole nother conversation. But mostly what we do is domestic. And at least for a lot of people, it allows some insight to what perhaps in the store, and some people are still interested in picking it up locally then.
So tell me how you've been meeting the COVID-19 restrictions, not so much lockdown. We'll talk about lockdown in a minute, but when people wanted to come into the store, how did you manage with the restrictions from public health?
We're good here. We have a lot of open space and a lot of square footage to work with, but we still took a more conservative approach. So we still put a sign on the front door at times of 5 as a limit to capacity. Mm-hmm. We're easily 2 to 3 times that for what we can adequately space out in here. But you know, why not go with 5? There's just extra security there. We've got hand sanitizers that sit right beside the customer when they have a seat to try the footwear on. Everyone's obviously got a mask, and so you wash up in between your interactions. We're socially distanced. We're wearing a mask. We were quite fine in here. And then in terms of product, we'd ask customers if they're trying some product on, leave it in the change room. And then we place it aside for several days. And then footwear, we also had separate piles that was set aside and then rotated. So I mean, to be locked down, I guess, from where we stand is quite disappointing, because we feel like a lot of businesses that we were going over and above in terms of a secure environment for ourselves and our customers.
Yeah. Now, as far as curbside delivery, did you offer that at all?
We do. Yep. Some customers, if they're happy just phoning up to the store and having us run it out and placing it in the trunk of the car, no problem. And I just say, you transfer me the money after. Here's my email address if you want.
Yeah. So you've really done a variety of different things. You've got your website up and running. You're doing curbside delivery. You're making sure that people leave items in the change rooms if they've tried it, and certainly. So there's been lots of changes for you from a business perspective. Now, have you found, with the emphasis on people being out and about for health, and that's mental health as well as physical, have you had more people talk to you about product, or more of an interest in getting out and about for those who've not done it before?
Yes. And a side note to that is, as people take upon a new activity when it's weight bearing, or in a lot of instances, people are stuck working at home, so they're on their feet more often at home, and they're on hardwood floor or tile. And if they get caught off guard with it wearing some sort of footwear, then they're knocking on our door because they've got a foot ailment, and it needs relief. So between that and people taking up a new activity, outside walking, perhaps if it's just in something that's a little bit more inadequate for, or maybe it was adequate for their more moderate needs in the past, but now they're changing their behaviors, and their needs become a little bit more targeted. So we're seeing some of those customers come in, which is great. You're always looking for first-time customers and building your customer base alongside your repeat customers. That's kind of what we knew it was going to happen, because we got that insight from our brands last June, July, that with the supply chains being impacted, product shortages were coming in 2021, and they're starting to appear now.
So definitely, just like so many other businesses, getting the product on the shelves, so to speak, is now affecting you as well. So I'm wondering, Scott, from your, I've often seen outside of your business,
Book
people who join together for reading activities and physical.
In your store or in we so far have done that.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a freeze up. Where would you like me to start again?
So basically, for your business, we were chatting about the supplies being a challenge to get now, just like so many other businesses that you had anticipated. So how do you work around that? How do you offer other supplies, other options for products? Like, what do you do for people who may be looking for something but then not be able to get it for them?
So this is an opportunity for some customers to open themselves to new products. Runners can be, especially a segment of the population that's quite set in their ways. So they'll wear 19 of the straight shoes, if not 38 of the straight shoe in a row. And shoes most often evolve every 12 or 18 months, either mildly or moderately, or perhaps every so often a complete overhaul. But for some of those runners, if it is a time when getting their favorite go-to shoe becomes more challenging, this is going to be a year where every so often that they're perhaps trying on a comparable. They're more likely to try on a comparable from another brand. And it's all good product. It's whatever fits the best. I guess we are lucky where there is shortages. Running shoes are something that you can import into North America by plane. It's more expensive, dramatically more expensive to do that. But if your alternative is waiting 6 months for a boat or getting it by plane, then our brands are responding that way. Whereas we're fortunate because if you're in the bike business, you can't, you're not flying bikes in by plane. You're stuck waiting, and there's no inventory.
Yes. Now, you mentioned that you not only sell a product, but you will help people who have some challenges physically. Can you talk a little bit more about the type of advice or services you provide for specific issues? If someone isn't exactly sure, how do you go about someone with particular physical challenges?
Well, it's interesting. I guess we're shoe geeks in here, and anybody that owns and works in a running store, across North America or Canada, there's a lot of shoe geeks, track athletes that are passionate about their footwear and performances. So my wife and I are walking last evening, and behind a couple ladies on the street, I look at the footwear that they're in, and we just know that we could take that improper shoe that the one individual is wearing in the moment and place something aligned with their foot needs as well as their lower limb alignment, and more than likely would make a huge difference in their comfort. So we take that angle and we apply it to every customer in here as to how can you best align the right shoe for what their needs dictate. And their needs are dependent upon their foot type, or someone that's a little bit more knee knocked is entirely different than somebody that's bow-legged is standing in front of me, totally different needs. So, lots of people out in the public say, well, such and such should wear such and such a shoe. It's the best shoe. It's totally incorrect. Totally incorrect. It's maybe the best shoe if you're identically aligned in the same way as your friend, but to listen to that advice is not very good advice.
So what you're really saying is it's more than a shoe. It's looking at the body and the biomechanics or body alignment that helps with getting the right fit for the right person, correct?
It does. Yep. And we provide high quality product. This product that is developed under the guise of several, there's a team of biomechanists and biomechanical engineers that have a lot of sensory equipment on individuals, on treadmills, in real world applications when they're developing this type of footwear. So it's high technology that comes forward in the study of biomechanics and trying to provide footwear from any of the good brands to provide durability and comfort and support for people in the populace that need it.
Do you see people who've had surgeries like hips or knees come in after their surgery for footwear? Are you seeing that type of person as well?
We do. Everything from an increase in the positive outcomes of bunion surgery, even in the last 12 years. It's dramatic how many fewer people have a negative response in terms of bunion surgery. So there's just one that's, I think, advanced tremendously in the last decade. But knees and hips, one after another. And it's not uncommon for somebody that has a hip replacement then to stand in front of us, and all of a sudden there's a little bit of a leg length discrepancy that develops from it, or knee replacement. So if somebody's extremely everted in their knees or bow-legged and they have a correction on one leg, and then going forward perhaps a future correction on the other, there'll be a temporary leg length discrepancy that presents itself.
Yeah. Now, Scott, I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about.
And I have a freeze up at my end.
So I'm wondering if we can talk about the running groups, because you are involved with running groups as well. Can you explain a little bit how that works and how COVID-19 may have impacted those groups?
We took a different approach for our running groups in 2021 to be less formalized and a little bit more social setting, a little less intense of an approach, because without races, the motivating factors aren't quite the same. So we're looking for different avenues of motivating athletes and really just getting together and using it as a social outlet to burn calories, to maintain fitness. With the absence of any big road races in the now and in the foreseeable future, particularly through summer into early fall, road races have returned in the US, but Canada, I don't think it's going to return overnight. So we'll be, after the lockdown currently, we'll just be, again, more social in our run groups and achieving our more moderate goals at this time.
So when people go out with the running group now, do they have to run one behind the other? How do you keep those restrictions? How distanced are they? So Scott, how distanced are people when they're doing their running groups?
So you have just returned because it just disconnected me a second time. What was the first part of that question, Carol?
So with the running groups, you mentioned they're social. How, when they're actually out running towards meeting their goals, are they distanced a certain spacing from each other, or how does that actually work? Or do they just simply go out by themselves and just track their goals?
Sorry, I had the first part of that question come through and then it was cutting on me.
Okay, so when you're having your running groups go out, how do they actually do that? Are they spaced one after the other, or yeah?
Yeah, what's a little different this year than other years, we would, in other years previously, utilize more regrouping during a group run, and we would break into 4 or 5 individual groups, and each group would go about a specific workout. This year, we are just kind of starting out in a little bit more laissez-faire approach. People kind of just buddy up with someone of an equal running pace. We email out the route in advance, and there's a couple options then for that. So some people might choose to do 8 or 9K. Some might break off at 7K, and some might break off at 5K. So we're a little bit more spaced out. We do less regrouping, and people into freeze on a pace that's
So, Scott, from your experience, looking back a year ago to now, what sorts of things have really stuck in your mind as far as the successes and the challenges relating to what you've had to do in your business, and also how people are reacting to the COVID-19 restrictions?
Well, we have sensed from our customers that there is a significant loyalty with our customers to supporting our business. But also I sense a lot of people are big on supporting not just our business, but other small businesses, whether it's restaurants or B&Bs, hospitality or retail trade. People are well-intentioned and they want to help. So that, they're buying gift certificates and trying to support businesses through the harder times. We're fortunate here that we have a some temporary staff, some great part-time staff that have worked with Tracy and I, but we haven't had to go through the same challenges in terms of laying off a lot of staff and then trying to bring back that same staff, or worrying that that staff has now left you for other opportunities or that they're not coming back. That's a brutal impediment for businesses to have to step over. Yeah. So we're fortunate that we haven't been impacted by that. We had sufficient heads up to know that we were forced to plan our inventory extremely accurately for 2021. We've done that, so it's mitigated some of the potential challenges and interruptions from that, because that's a disaster that we would not want to go through, is to not be able to have any footwear behind the wall. So that's right. That's a unique challenge. I mean, we have had one apparel order just dropped. You're not getting it. Didn't come into the country. That's the way it is. So you just work around that. Yeah. And so it's obviously it's different. It's not nice being open and then being closed and then being open and closed. But I guess as runners, we ran a few marathons. So mentally and physically, you take a pounding, not just on race day, but in the training and preparing for it. And I've trained, it's kind of interesting. A week from now, this would be next Friday, leading into Patriots Day weekend in the United States, particularly in the Northeast US. It's Boston Marathon weekend historically, next weekend. So next Friday at Logan Airport, it was full of runners coming from around the world to run Boston. It's moved to this fall. Yeah. And it'll be back on Patriots Day in 2022. I have no doubt about that. And it's that's something that you look forward to. Yeah.
And we can all look forward to that. So, Scott, I can't believe our time is up already. I want to thank you for being on the program. I know we've had some technical glitches, but I think we've overcome them, just like a marathon race. So thank you and all the best. And thank you to our viewing audience for joining us here. Please join us again to learn more about services, resources, and programs available to you in our community. Take care.